Good evening everyone, and welcome to Game 9 of the 2013 US vs UK Internet Scrabble Tournament. This is the final game of the tournament, with the teams currently tied at 4 games apiece. Tonight, Chris Lipe of the US is playing Helen Gibson of the UK, two World Championship players at the top of their game. The match is about to start, so let's join the action. And it's Helen to go first. This is quite a good rack. It's not a bingo-y rack. But as Brett has pointed out, Helen can play Fang for a good score, leaving ET. So this is not going to be a difficult rack to deal with. If there were floaters, Heptagon or Pathogen would be playable through an O. But there's no floaters on this board. Hat Peg is also being suggested, but Fang is better because it retains the E. ET is quite a good two-letter leave. I'm not seeing any suggestions other than those two. Now, Fang does take a U at the front and an S after it. Chris has got, well, an interesting rack. Does he have a bingo? Looks quite close. Deodar is good as a 6-letter word. But I can't see a 7 or an 8 with this rack. But as with Helen, this should be a fairly easily resolvable rack. A play of Yod would leave AEDR, which is an excellent 4-letter rack leave. And Yod does play at I7 across, placing the Y in the double letter square, so that would be pretty good. Chris may be hesitant about playing Yod because it takes an E after it, which is quite an open hook to offer your opponent. But I think even so, Yod is going to be the best play because the rack leave of ADER is pretty good. And Chris will have the floating P and H of Fang to play through. I'm just looking to see if Chris does have an 8-letter word. I can't see anything myself, but I have Zizivar open in front of me. And there are no 8s with this rack. I suppose the next thing to look for is a double-double in column 5 through the H of Fang. But I don't think there is such a play, so Yod looks like it's best. Now Helen does not have a good rack, and Chris has blocked Cowage through the A of Fang. She does have an E for hooking onto Yod. But the problem with this rack is the C, G and W, and in particular the G and the W, so she'll be anxious to play off both of those because they're both non-bingo-y tiles. Wog is a good 3-letter word. Not sure if that plays anywhere. No, I can't see where that plays, and I'm struggling to see another way of playing off the G and the W. Ouch is being suggested in column 5, which keeps the G, but it does score reasonably well and gets rid of the W. But can Helen do better than that? This is a tricky rack to deal with, because whatever she plays, she's not going to score a great deal and she's not going to have a great rack leave. I'm just looking to see if she can take advantage of the Yod hook, but that's pretty tricky. The E doesn't go particularly well with the consonants that she's got. If she played Woe, she would be keeping the C and the G. That's not a good combination. Ouch scores 26 points, which is quite a good score. And it also denies the double lane to Chris. And doesn't place a vowel next to any premium squares, so there's quite a lot going for ouch. It's not a particularly easy word to spot, though. Woe, as well as being playable in column 10, making yod is also playable at I3 across or G3 across for 19 points. Wet. Okay, that's an interesting choice. It does retain the C and the G. Now, what's Chris got? Does he have a bingo? The yod hook is still available. I think there is not a 7-letter bingo on his rack. There will be a number of 8s, but there's only the floating P of fang, and possibly the floating H, but that's not freely available. No 7s with this rack, according to Zezivar. Yeah, and a whole bunch of 8s through a C, a D, a G, an R and an S, so nothing playable on this board. In which case, what can Chris do to resolve this rack? The problem he'll have is that he's only got 1 and 2 point tiles, so he's going to struggle to score. I guess a play of NEE at I3, leaving reed, would be quite good. He won't be too bothered about leaving the yod hook available, because with a rack leave of ADER, he's going to be reasonably optimistic of having a bingo. And any bingo is playable in column 10 at the moment. Knee is also playable, or nay is playable at K3 for 11 points. So certainly the I3 spot is better. Chris is currently 27 points behind, which since he's on turn is not very much. Helen's play of wet has obstructed plays directly above fang and parallel to it, because got and nigh do not take any front hooks. Nide is good, as one of our railbirds has spotted, so we could have a play of, say, neared in row K, but that wrecks the rack leave. It's also not such a good play because it takes an A as a front hook, opening up column 1. That would score 27 points. I think nay at I3 is certainly superior to that. Eend is being suggested at K3 by John O'Loughlin, one of Chris's teammates on the US team. 25 points, and that leaves ED. Certainly not as good a rack leave as ADER. But it scores 9 points more. I still prefer NEE. DEE is being suggested at I3. Well, that's pretty similar to NEE, but I think reed is more than 2 points better than near as a rack leave. Probably not a huge amount in it. D does take an I front hook. Now, does Helen have a bingo? She kept the C and the G. I think her pickup has been quite kind. Chris's play of D has blocked gramoch, as Brett has pointed out. An anagram of echogram. So if Helen had seen gramoch, she'll certainly have been disappointed to see D go down. There are no 7s with this rack. And the only bingos apart from through the H solitary bingo through an S scarmoge. So Helen does not have a bingo. But it's a fairly balanced rack. 4 consonants, 3 vowels, exactly what you want in terms of vowel consonant balance. Well, she plays Gramoch anyway for 32 points. That's pretty good. It plays off all of her high-scoring tiles. Now, what does Chris have? This looks pretty good. Taverna, playable in column 10, making Yode. Anything else? Well, not that I can see. No anagrams of Taverna. And the only 8s are through an S and a Z. Taverna's Tsarevna and Tsarevna, so it is Taverna in column 10. Yep, there it goes. Well done, Chris. Excellent spots. Chris now takes a 28-point lead, and Helen's rack is poor. She's drawn an S, which is good, but she's a long way from a bingo. But it should be fairly easy to resolve because woo is good and woos. So Helen's going to be looking for the best place to play that. The W goes quite nicely at F6. So she could play OW at E6 down for 30 points, leaving AEOSS. It's a fragile rack leave, really needs consonants to improve it. Any vowel is going to leave a non-bingo-y rack. But 30 points is a lot. Yep, Helen goes for that option. Chris, drawing 7 random tiles, has a randomly bad rack. 5 vowels and a Q and duplicate I and O. But the I and the Q go together to make chi, or chin onto an N. And chi does play at E11 down. 24 points. Racklee's pretty awful, but chi is probably still better than changing. And in fact, chi was playable for 34 points at J2. Now, Helen has unfortunately only drawn vowels and is in quite a horrid position. No high-scoring tiles on her rack. Very tricky. She could play Aero at C3 across. The rack leave of AESS is fine. What's wrong with Aero is the score, only 8 points. And she's 32 points adrift at the moment. But Aero is pretty good, although the duplicate S is... The second S, when you've got 2 S's, is fairly neutral. When you've got no consonants at all, the second S does have positive value. So I like Aero. Now, what else is being suggested? AE is being suggested by Phil Robertshaw at D4 down. Well, that's quite nice, making R and Emu. 13 points. So 5 points more than Aero, but you're retaining an O. I'd rather jettison the O. But maybe there's a way of scoring more than 8 points. I'm looking at the N of Taverna, but EOAN and Aeon do not play. This is a tough rack for Helen to deal with because she's behind, and if she only scores 8 points, Chris has got the possibility of scoring 30, 40 points and taking a big lead. And then if Helen bingo, she's only catching up. $55 tiles in the bag. Helen's got just under 12.5 minutes left. This is quite an open board. Well, a C is being suggested at M9. Okay, well, Aero, I think that is the best play. Now, what does Chris have? He's drawn the Z, which is great for him. And he's got vowels to go with it. So he's probably got options, but what is the best that he can do? Now, I note that the first A of Taverna is next to a double letter square, so maybe there's a play ending in Z coming down column 9. Unfortunately, pos is not playable in that spot because OT is no good. Okay, I don't think Chris can take full advantage of that square. Diatso is being suggested. Ah, that's quite nice. In column 3, coming down from the D and the I that are currently on the board, leaving a rack leave of ILOP. Scores 30 points. The downside is that it places the Z next to a double word square, so it'll be very easy for Helen to score well in return. Zoo is playable at K4, 29 points. But again, that places the Z next to a double word square. Chris has got a 24-point lead. Now, pos is being suggested at K3. I like that. 33 points, slightly more points. Rack leave of AILO is not good. Too many vowels. Now, setup players being mentioned. Paoli at B11, making TI. How is that a setup play? B11, Paoli. Okay. Not totally sure where the setup is. Except you are generally providing good spots. I guess the Z could go at C9 across and then through the A of Paoli, 5-letter play beginning with Z. A in third place would score well. Paoli is not bad because it's not essential to get rid of the Z. The Z is a good scoring tile. And this rack is not close to a bingo, so provided you can score well, there's no problem with retaining the Z. Rack leave for Zoo is pretty good. AILP. Now, Chris has taken a while on this move. He's got just over 10 minutes left. It's not an easy rack to deal with. If he leaves himself with a bad rack leave, he knows he's going to have a problem, or likely to have a problem on his next move. And given that he's got a lead, he's going to be anxious to maintain that lead. Pos 34 points. And, well, he's retained 3 vowels and a consonant, so it's a slightly vulnerable lead. We'll have to leave. We'll have to wait and see what he's drawn. Helen is not having a great time with the tiles tonight. This is, again, away from a bingo. But it is resolvable, and she has got the B for score. So a player B double E somewhere would work. Now, she'll probably be looking in row L to see if she can take advantage of the double word square and hooking the Z. That would require placing her A at L5. So she could play base at L4 across, leaving double ES. Over 30 points, that's pretty good. Brings her to within 30 of Chris, and a rack leave of double ES is pretty good. Well, it's not bad. Is there anything better? Base could be played at L1 across. Only 29 points, so the L4 position is better. 49 tiles in the bag. just over or just under the halfway point for Helen's clock as it ticks down to 0. There is a hot spot in row H from the V of Taverna across to the triple word square at H15, but Helen doesn't have the tiles to take advantage of that. Now, one problem with playing base at L4 is that Helen is obstructing the use of the Taverna hook. Okay, interesting positioning by Helen. I'm not sure there's terribly much in it. Now, liaison. Does that play? It does in column 11. Excellent. And also to make Tavernas. So Chris, with a 29-point lead, is going to be bingoing and extending his lead. This is looking ominous for Helen and the UK. Tonight's game is the deciding game in the series. Whoever wins this match wins the tournament for their country. So, where's best for Chris to play liaison? There it goes, opening up a 9 timer in row A. This looks an interesting rack for Helen, but does she have a bingo? If she does, it's going to be low probability because of the C and the Y, the duplicate tiles. No 7s with that rack, according to Zizivar, which will be correct. And no 8s either. So Helen's nearly 100 points down, but it is an open board. So Helen will not have given up hopes of winning this game. Cetal is being suggested at A7 across. 30 points, that's pretty good, and it stops Chris from using the triple word squares in row A. Now, this doesn't look like a bingo-y rack for Chris, but the duplicate F is a good thing. Duplicate tiles are often bad, but the F actually goes well together as a duplicate. And because each F scores 4 points, it's usually possible to score well. Now, Boff is being suggested at L1 down. That's excellent. And it scores well, over 30 points, and it retains the ing suffix. And the play of liaison has opened a new bingo lane in column 12. So there certainly is a spot to play an ing word. So I would expect Chris to play there. An alternative might be to play loafing at L8 across, retaining an F. Not such a good rack lead, not such a good score. But burning off tiles, expediting the end of the game, and obstructing the Taverna hook. Okay, I think Boff was the best play there. Now, surely a bingo here. Nauseate, excellent. Where does that play? Does that play? Not sure it does. It needs a floating A in the right spot. And the A of liaison and the A of Taverna are just not available. What a shame. And there are no other bingos being suggested by the railbirds, so that's tough on Helen. This is a pretty bingo-y rack. It'll certainly be easy to leave a good rack lead, but scoring well is not going to be so easy when you've got 7 1-point tiles, and Helen is now over 100 behind. AUE, 18 points, good play. Right, now, Chris looks like he could well be close to another bingo. Does he have one? I don't think he does. No 7s with this rack. And 8s through a B, a C, and M, and an N. The N1 being lounging, which doesn't play. Okay, so Chris does not have a bingo, so Helen's hopes are not extinguished. But what can Chris do with this rack? Both blanks are unseen, and that's good news for Helen. Chris will be aware of that, and he'll also be aware of how open this board is. There are the floaters in liaison. There's a 7-letter bingo lanes in column 12 and row M. So will he be thinking of closing the board down? He's got an L for going on the end of yod to make yodel, but the R of Taverna only takes an E after it, so he can't use that hook with this rack. I think it's difficult to obstruct row 12 without creating a new bingo lane. Very few suggestions coming through from the railbirds. Lloyding Chris's burning tiles, and that increases his chances of drawing a blank. Helen is going to bingo. She's got a blank. She's got a fabulous rack. Helen is going to bingo. She's 105 points behind. She's now going to bingo and come back to within about 30 or 40 points. And maybe if she draws another blank, she could have another back-to-back bingo and take the lead. Let's find out. Now, what is going to be Helen's best bingo? She wants to keep the board open because she's looking for a second bingo after this one. Well, she could play Senates at M3 across. Senates and Tavernas keeps open column 12. It's not going to score hugely. Wow. Stanines is being suggested in column 12 by one of the railbirds, and that's a fabulous spot, making C-tills, it, R, C, ton, and ain. That would be a sensational play. And it would open a bingo lane in column 13. The Taverna hook would remain available, so I think Stanines is going to be the best play, but very, very hard to see. And the reason it's hard to see is that you just don't look at bingo lanes which require that number of overlaps, and in particular you don't look for them when there are much easier bingo lanes available and you're short on time. Yeah, I think Stanine's certainly the best. Not sure what it scores, but it's going to be a lot. So not only is it the best in terms of keeping the board open, it's probably the best in terms of score, even though the play isn't doubled. The tiles on her rack only add up to 6 points. Look at the tiles in C-till, they exceed that. So effectively, Helen would be doing better than doubling her rack. Helen's not going to have any difficulty finding bingo options here, but she's going to be looking for the best. She knows she's behind. She knows one bingo is not going to be enough. Now, we can see at the bottom the tile bag that she will be drawing from. Well, the tiles at the bottom are the 23 tiles in the bag, plus the 7 on Chris's rack. It's not a great bag. No S's left. Only one A. Only one N. And quite a few high-scoring tiles, the B, the J, the K, and the V and the X, which are all non-bingo-y. Helen has got just over 5 minutes left. She is short on time. She's taken quite a while with this move. I would still be surprised if Stanines goes down, just because it's such a hard a hard spot. Stagnates is being suggested in column 13. That's quite nice because it opens up column 14 as a bingo lane and doesn't obstruct tavernas. Trouble with that is that it places an E at h13, so very easy for Chris to score, especially with all the high scoring tiles that are out there. Placing the J at h12, going across to o15. Okay, big play by Helen. Ascent 75, opening up column 15 for a triple. Now Chris has drawn the second blank, but he does not have bingo-y tiles to go with it. He's got the K, the U and the V. So, what can he do? I think he's going to want to take out column 15. He is 30 points ahead. I think Knorrs is good. K-N-A-U-R blank. 30 points, that would probably do the job. Splits up the UV combination, which is pretty horrible. Can't see a way of using the V in column 15. But at the end of the game, the V is a high-scoring tile and therefore a good tile. Chris isn't looking to bingo at this point. He's just looking to stop Helen from bingoing and to keep scoring. Because if he does that, he will win. Yeah, Nor is good. And it does take an S, so Nor's, I think, looks like a good play. And the K doesn't take a letter in front, so that obstructs column 14 for any overlap plays with Nor's. Curta is also being suggested. Okay, Nor's is better than Curta. Curta would have gone at J14 down. We're back to Helen. She's not drawn well, but she was drawing from a poor bag. She does have the X for score, but I'm not sure there's anywhere great on this board for the X. And Helen does not have good vowels to go with it. So looking at the scores, Helen is 60 points behind. Only 11 tiles in the bag. This is not looking good for Helen and the United Kingdom. There are bingo lanes open on this board. Maybe Helen should be looking to open up another one. She could play Lux at D1 across. 20 points, that's not bad, keeping ILRT. If she is going to open the board up, she really needs to leave herself a good rack leave. That's going to be tricky with this rack. But Lux looks okay, and from Helen's perspective, the second blank is still unseen. She doesn't know that it's on Chris's rack. Yeah, I agree with Magic Hour, Phil Robert Shaw. Helen needs to open the board up. Is there a better way of doing that than playing Lux? Now Lux with an E is being suggested. Where would that go? Well, Lure X for 24. Okay, not sure about that. That takes out bingo lanes. Chris has got the J and the blank. So, what can he do? Jive, 32 points, pretty good. The V doesn't take a letter underneath it, so he's not opening up the triple word square. Helen has rebuilt, but does she have anywhere to play it? Don't think she does. She's only 68 points behind, so if she can bingo, she would be drawing level, but I don't think there's anywhere to play rebuilt. And I'm not sure there are any 8s that are playable on this board. The 8s go through an H, a P, and an S, so no bingos here. There's only 3 tiles in the bag. What can Helen do to win? She needs to play off exactly 2 tiles and open another bingo lane, because if Helen doesn't open another bingo lane, then the existing ones, which is column 13 through the G, will simply be removed by Chris. So it's the left-hand side of the board which needs opening, in particular column 1. And Helen would be looking to play off the U. But this is tough. Lib and bar is being suggested. Keeping ERTU. Okay, that's not bad. Tub at B1 also being suggested. Yeah, that's good, and that does burn the U. Wow, this is hard from Helen's point of view, and she's only got 26 seconds left, which is not very much. So I think the sands of hope are falling away. Okay, lib, that's fine. Now, Chris does have a bingo-y rack. Does he have a bingo? In particular, does he have a 9 timer from A1 down? No tiles left. We can see what Helen's got on her rack at the bottom of the screen. Helen doesn't have a 7. And the 8s go through a B and O and a U. So Helen does not have a bingo. But can Chris go out in style? I'm not sure what he's got through the L of lib. Well, nothing that plays. So I wonder if he's got anything through the G of Lloyding. Well, Digerati plays. Okay, so Chris does have a playable bingo. And Rigiest and Rigidest. Okay, so Chris has got playable bingos through the G, which would end the game. I think Chris is going to probably be looking for the best possible bingo. I'm sure he's spotted a bingo through the G of Lloyding, but he might as well take his time to find the best possible one. And in particular, I suspect he may well be looking for a 9 timer, because that would be the best possible end to the game. We know that there isn't a 9-letter play through the L, but Chris probably doesn't. This is a promising rack. And okay, he has given up on that. He plays Rigidus with 72 points. He goes out with a bingo and wins the game. Final score 312 to Helen, 462 to Chris. A winning margin of 150 points. And it means the US has won the 9-game series 5 games to 4. So well done the US. Congratulations to them. And well done to John O'Loughlin, Chris Leip and Jeff Thevenot, who have made up the US team and have played some magnificent Scrabble. And thank you also to the UK players, Brett Smitheram and Helen Gibson, for putting up a valiant fight and taking the contest down to the wire. Let's have a look what the players missed tonight. Okay, it was... Whoa. No, we don't want to look at my games. Okay, it was Helen to go first, and she played Fang. Yeah, that was best. And Deary was playable for 35, but look at the rack leave DO compared to the rack leave of deer after yod. I prefer the yod play. Ouch for 26. Yeah, this is where Helen played wet for 24, keeping CEGO. I think ouch was better. Een for 25, that was suggested by John O'Loughlin, and what was played? D was played for 15. Yeah, better rack leave, so probably not that much in it. I think the candidate moves being suggested by the programme here towards the higher scoring and longer words, and probably don't pay enough attention to rack leave. Now, Helen played Gramosh, that was good, her blocked bingo. Playable as a non-bingo. And this is where Chris had Taverna, only one place to spot it, clearly the best play. Helen could have played Vow S at H10. Wow, through the V of Taverna. Okay, I didn't spot that, I'm not sure if anybody else did. It does burn off both S's, but if you're getting 48 points, I think it's worthwhile. And look at all the other moves. Well, Vow S is 18 points clear of the next nearest move. Helen's play of Ow for 30 points. Okay, it's a better rack leave than Vow S, but it doesn't make up an 18-point differential. Chi for 34, yeah, that looks best. And a C at M9 for 16, that was suggested. And in fact, Aero was played for 8. Okay, probably not much between those moves because Aero had a better rack leave. This was a tricky rack. Topaz at F10 was not spotted, but it's a nice play. 36 points and ILO as a rack leave. Pos for 39. Yep, that was played. Okay, not terribly much between those. This is where Helen played base at L1, and I think the L4 placement for 2 more points is probably better, even though it does obstruct Taverna. Liaison, yep, only playable bingo. And Cetal looks best. Fifing at D8. Okay, that wasn't considered, but it opens a 9-timer, so it's not a great play. I think Boff was best. Very unlucky here with not having a bingo. But look at that. Acetylines was playable at A6 cross through Cetal. Another 48-point play. Well, incredibly difficult word to spot. None of our railbirds spotted it, and neither did Helen. And the other options, well, I think Helen's play of AUE at L2 looks like it was the best alternative. Dog was the missed play here, if you're going by the highest candidate move. And Chris played Lloyding, and I think Lloyding is good. It takes out floaters, expedites the end of the game, and plays off a pretty drecky rack, even though it initially looked promising. Now, this was the Stanines play, incredibly difficult to spot, 82 points, and instead Helen played a sense for 75 points. Only 7 fewer points, but in playing a sense she is opening up column 15, where it was fairly easy for Chris to play. If Helen had played Stanines, then Chris would have had that yucky rack with the K, the U and the V without an obvious spot to play them off. Nor at L8 is being suggested here. Where's that? Oh, right, okay, L8 are running across the top of Ascent. That's probably not best because it leaves open the 9-timer through the S of Ascent in column 15, so I think Nors is the better play. Helen's rack is rubbish here, just when you want to have a good one because you're a bingo behind. Helen played Lurex, not convinced that's good. I think it would have been better to have played Lux at D1, but I may be wrong. Jive at N6, that looks fine. This is where Rebuilt wouldn't play. Only 3 tiles left, so all of these long words are not going to be optimal. The only way Helen can win is by bingoing, so she has to play off 2 or 3 tiles, and she did so. And Chris was able to bingo out. And the highest scoring play was Rigidest. So, congratulations once again to Chris Leip and the American team. A magnificent victory, and thank you all for watching this tournament on Dweebovision. I hope you enjoyed watching it, and this tournament will be running again in future years, so I hope you can join us for some future videos. Thank you.